If you have ever walked in to a teaching interview thinking, what does the principal want to hear from me? If you've asked yourself that question, you're in the right place. Because today I'm going to explore the 5 things that I looked for as a high school principal in every one of my teaching candidates. As well as I'm going to give you a bonus strategy that will help you stand out amongst the rest of the candidates. Grab your pen, grab a piece of paper, get ready to take some notes, and stay to the end for that game-changing breakthrough strategy. We're going to get started right now. Hey there, Dr. Gordon Amerson, Superintendent of Schools and Gallup Certified Strengths Coach. And on this channel, we explore my experience from classroom teacher all the way to the office of school district superintendent to help you go further faster in your educational journey and your leadership journey. If this is your first time with us, welcome in. Thank you for being here. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our latest episodes or content. You know, as I was preparing for this episode, I started to really take some time to reflect and reminisce on my time as a principal, as a building level leader, and having the opportunity to hire so many high quality, energetic, dynamic, inspirational people to be with our scholars, to educate them, to guide them, to build them up, to help them go out into the world and be productive people. And so as I started to think about that, and I think about what were the ideas, what were those key tenets, the key principles with the PLE, the key principles that I was always looking for in candidates. So I want to share those 5 ideas with you today, because I think they will help you prepare for your next interview, but I'll also will hopefully shine a light into the window of how principals are thinking and what are those big ideas and what are those kind of timeless principles that they're looking for in good, strong, solid candidates. So without further ado, let's jump in to the first concept. So the first concept that I always looked for in candidates was that they had the ability to have a strong understanding of student engagement and also classroom management. Being able to manage your classroom, being able to have high levels of engagement where students are excited, they're motivated, they can't wait to be in your room. They can't wait to hear what the lesson's going to be. They can't wait to get the opportunity to go through that learning experience. But they also know that you have the ability not only to engage them, but that you have clear and consistent and very fair classroom management policies and strategies as well. Students thrive with structure. They just need consistency. Students thrive with high levels of engagement, but they also need rigor. And so I was always looking for candidates who could show evidence that they were able to balance both of those dynamics. Yes, you want to have, I'll say it, yes, I want you to have fun in your classroom. Yes, I always wanted our students to be excited about school and have fun being around the learning process. But I also had expectations that we would have students be accountable and that we would have systems and structures in place that would allow that to happen. So when I'm asking candidates this question, I'm looking for specific answers, specific examples. We could talk about classroom management strategies, but not just generalities, but what are some specific things that you could say? So as an example, when giving some specific details about classroom management, you could say something like, when I was a student teacher, if this applies, when I was a student teacher, I implemented a class-wide reward system based on participation. And as a result of implementing that system, I saw a 40% increase in student engagement within a month's time. Now, this is just an example of something you could say, but I want to break down the specific things that you found in there. A specific strategy, a specific outcome, how it was being measured, duration, all those things become a way that you are showing your ability to give a really solid, thoughtful, concrete answer. Not just generalities, but a specific strategy for a specific outcome over a specific duration of time with data and metrics. Really solid answer, things I always look for in a candidate's response. So thinking about how you incorporate those specific types of responses, because I can guarantee you, as a principal, I always, and I know many of my colleagues who are also principals and who are currently sitting principals, are looking for evidence that you can engage your students, but also have strong classroom management. That's concept number one. All right, let's talk about concept number two. And concept number two is I always looked for candidates who could provide clear and concise communication. As a principal, I was looking for folks who could be direct, who could give me the fine, detailed points in a very linear, very concise, very professional way. Because if you can do that for me in the interview, then I know you will be able to effectively communicate with your students, with your colleagues, with parents, with the community. Being an effective communicator is important. So a good framework to use for this is the STAR framework. And we've talked about this before in previous episodes. You can check the cards that are tagged above for additional videos on the STAR framework. But STAR is situation, task, action, results. Situation, task, action, and results. If you put your answers through that, what is the situation? What is the task that's called for? What actions are happening? And then what are the results that come about from it? That will give you a nice linear way to work your way through an answer, and it will be very clear and concise because there's a formula that you're putting to it, because we're not looking for you to ramble, but we're looking for you to be very clear and direct. This is the type of strategy that you could use in your interview, but it's also the way that you can engage any one of those stakeholder groups that we talked about. So thinking about this, and remember, principals, as you're standing in front of them, will be looking for you to be a clear and concise communicator. And that is strategy number 2. All right, let's talk about concept number 3 of the types of things I looked for in candidates when I was a high school principal. And so concept number 3, I will always put a high value on candidates who can show evidence of collaboration and teamwork. Our systems now are driven by the ability to function as teams, to collaborate, to work amongst each other. No more silos, no more I go in my classroom by myself, leave me alone, I do my thing on my own. We work in teams, we collaborate, we get the best out of one another because we spend time with each other. So as a principal, I absolutely was looking for evidence that you can work well with others. Now, I know it may seem simple enough, but it's complicated. It can be complicated. So in that moment when you're in the interview and you're sitting across the table from a principal, I want you thinking, how do you show evidence of your effective ability to work with others? What types of teams have you thrived on? What types of teams have you been a part of? What types of outcomes have you produced as a result of working with other folks? An example that you could give, because you want to share an example of high level work that you've done with other folks. An example could be something like, I've partnered with my special education colleagues to modify my lesson plans, ensuring that all of my students had access to high quality instruction. That partnership and that collaboration with the special education staff to make sure that the specific needs, the specific learning needs of a student, of all of your students, are met. I'm modifying my plans because I'm talking, I'm getting ideas, I'm learning more, I'm doing data chats, I'm reading the IEP. I'm getting all of that information, but not only am I reading the IEP, but I'm collaborating with the case manager. I'm collaborating with the school psychologist. I'm collaborating with everybody in an effort to make sure that the students in my classroom, that their needs are being met. And as a result of that collaboration and that teamwork, I now go back and change my professional practice. These are the types of things that I was looking to hear about, the level of commitment and the level of professionalism that a candidate would engage in to be able to showcase who they are and why I would want to hire them. So the ability to demonstrate in a really clear and evident way that you could be collaborative and that you would function as a high-level member of a team were absolutely critical. I was looking for that, and I know a lot of my colleagues would be as well. And that is concept number 3. Before we move to concept number 4, share with us in the comments below, what types of things have you done to be an effective teammate? What types of collaborative activities, collaborative structures have you engaged in? Give us some examples. Share those with us in the comments below. It'll help to provide more value and provide more information to our community as we're learning and growing together. So share that with us in the comments below, and let's move to concept number 4. So concept number 4 is a critical one because I think it is why we exist in education, why we decided we wanted to be educators, whether that was this year, 5 years, or in my case, almost 25 years ago. It's because we care about kids. So concept number 4 that I always asked about when I was interviewing candidates as a principal was that I wanted to ensure that they had a passion and commitment to student growth. I want candidates then and now, as a superintendent, I want candidates who are genuinely concerned about the growth and the development of their students on multiple levels, academically, socially, emotionally. I want to know that our students are going to be cared for in all those dimensions. And I'm going to look for candidates who are going to care about all of those dimensions because our students are multifaceted with multifaceted needs. So in order to do that, we have got to remain committed to professional development. So if you get a question around what is your commitment to student development and student growth, you could say something like, I regularly attend professional development on differentiated instruction, on advanced learners, on English learners, because I want to ensure every student in my class gets what they need and deserve to succeed. Because that is the key. We've got to sharpen our skills because the sharper our skills are, the more we learn, the more we stay relevant, the more we stay up on the research, the data, the evidence, the better we will be for our students and meeting their wide, diverse needs. So focus on when standing, when sitting across the table or sitting across the interview room from a principal like me, focus on that genuine need, that genuine care, that genuine nurturing of a student and being focused on their continued growth and development. That's concept number 4. All right, before we move to concept number 5, go to the pinned comments below because I have a free gift for you. And it's going to give you some frameworks. It's going to give you some ideas. It's going to give you some strategies as you prepare for your next interview. And so that gift will give you all kinds of tips and resources. So go to the pinned comments below and you'll be able to download that free gift. And hopefully it will serve you well as you prepare for your next interview. Now, let's talk about strategy number 5. All right, now concept number 5 is an important one because conceptually things are changing and we have lots of advancements and lots of things that are shifting and moving. And it's a fluid system, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But concept number 5 that I always look for as a principal when interviewing a candidate was that candidates had adaptability and a growth mindset. Now, this question can come in a number of different ways, but just thinking about, like, how do you stay current? How do you stay relevant? How do you keep up with the research and the changing trends in education? These are types of questions that could come. But what we're really trying to get at in this is, are you adaptable? Are you ready to shift and change if necessary? If the research says it's time to change, if the data says it's time to change, if you get a management change and you have a new principal who wants to go in a different direction with the instructional program or the instructional focus, are you able to change? If you get a new department chair, a new grade level lead who wants to change the structure of the professional learning community or wants to change the structure of the collaboration meetings, are you ready and willing to change? If we have to put a new student in your classroom 3 months into the school year and you've got the class exactly where you need and you've got high levels of engagement and you've got a good classroom management system, but you have a new student who has to come in and that dynamic is going to shift a little bit, are you ready to make that change? Do you have the mindset to make that change? This is a critically important concept because being able to be adaptable, being able to continue to have that growth mindset is going to be critically important. It can be the thing that changes a principal's perspective. If you're open-minded and you have that growth mindset, principal thinks, hey, this is somebody I can work with. This is somebody I can guide, I can grow, I can develop. If you're closed-minded, you're in that kind of fixed mindset, it might turn the principal off. And so you just want to think about how you stay adaptable. You want to think about just remembering that education is an ever evolving, complex environment. So staying current, staying up to date, staying relevant, staying read into the research, and being ready to collaborate and change as necessary are the things that we're going to be looking for from you. So when a question does come up, you could say something that might be along the lines of, when my school switched to a blended learning model, as an example, I took the initiative to learn new ed tech tools like Nearpod or Google Classroom to make my lessons more engaging, more dynamic, and more interactive. So it's staying current, it's staying relevant, it's thinking outside of the box, it's being ready to adapt. Critically important, and another way to stand out as a candidate when interviewing with a principal. So if you stayed all the way until now, thank you very much. And here's the high impact strategy. And this is one that I talk about quite a bit. The high impact strategy is be an effective storyteller. Whether it is any of the concepts that we've already talked about, being adaptable, having a growth mindset, having good engagement and good classroom management, being a good communicator, being an effective collaborator, and having good teamwork, right? Being ready to continually grow and develop professionally, right? Any of those things, think about how you tell stories, high impact stories that will showcase who you are, what your experience has been, where you want to take the students. The ability to tell a story that captivates someone's attention. Listen, here's the deal. As a principal, if I'm interviewing you and you can captivate me with the story that you tell, what does that tell me you're going to be able to do with your students? Your students need to be inspired. They need to hang on every word because you've thought about the stories, the ideas, the memories, the moments. Being able to tell a story is critically important. We, as principals, we interview dozens of candidates, but those candidates who make us remember them are the ones who could capture our eyes, our ears, and our hearts with a story. So think about how you leverage stories. Let me give you an example. If I ask you a question like, what do you do and how do you build good relationships with students? Telling a story like, last year, I noticed one of my students was struggling emotionally. So I took it upon myself during lunch to check in with him. And eventually, he started to open up. By the end of the year, he had improved both academically and socially because of our check-ins and because of our frequent conversations. And it was that experience that reinforced why I became a teacher, because I wanted to build trust and I wanted to support students not only in my classroom, but also beyond the classroom as well. Just a story. Just a story that gives a lot of context around who you are, what you believe, and what you're willing to do for students. These are the types of stories that resonate with principals. And these are the types of stories that you want to use. And that, as a strategy, can literally be the reason that you get a job over somebody else. Your ability to tell that story or a story like that in that moment. So there you have it. 5 concepts that I looked for when I was a high school principal hiring teacher candidates, and 1 high impact strategy all about telling stories. And again, check the cards up above, because we'll put some cards up on previous videos that we've done around storytelling, because we think that is a key asset that you have to be able to have, not just for the interview, but just as a professional practice. Being able to tell stories is a critically important skill. So as we continue to move forward, I just want to take a moment just to say thank you. We're knocking on the door. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers on this channel, and I just can't say thank you enough for the support and the building of the community, and for the comments and for the feedback. We're going to keep building and making these videos that will continue to help and support you in your efforts to grow as an educator. So make sure, if you've stayed to this point in the video, don't forget to share it with a friend. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Matter of fact, share it with 10 friends if you can, so we can get not only to that 5,000 mark, but we're building the community to 10,000. So thank you again for that. And if you want more information on all things teacher interview and getting your next job, you can check out this next video as well. And then also don't forget to check the description below for more information on mentoring, coaching, resources, our weekly newsletter, all those things related to the work that we do, and theprincipledleader.com. And until we see you on our next one, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and be well, everyone. Thanks.